Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here today. I'm Nikki. My favourite colour is pink, and my favourite cuisine is Japanese. So, sorry, cheesy Zoom icebreakers aside, I'm your MC for today's conference, part of the Design Outlook Festival. I'll begin today by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to elders past and present and recognise that their sovereignty was never ceded. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today as well. I also want to recognise the context that brings us together today, as I think it's more fitting than ever to highlight why we're here and how we have been brought together. We're emerging into a world that's completely different to the one we knew at the beginning of 2020. And over the past 2 years, we've faced individual and collective challenges that have brought us together, but also pushed us apart. We're so lucky to be here today, face to face in real life, with an opportunity to intentionally reconnect not only with our design community, but also with our individual selves by looking inside, to listen, to debate, and to ask questions. This week is also National Reconciliation Week, a time for all Australians to learn about shared histories, cultures, and to explore how each of us can contribute to achieving reconciliation here in Australia. The 2022 theme is Be Brave, Make Change. And that's how I all want us to walk away from today feeling. Brave to tackle challenges and to make change for all. So there are a million moving parts that have made this festival possible, and being involved behind the scenes for the first time, I previously hadn't thought twice about the monumental amount of work that goes into organising an event like this. Firstly, thank you to Deloitte, our principal partner, who's made not only today's conference, but this entire week's festival events possible. In particular, thanks to Lauren Tan. Thank you again for your generous support. Thank you for your hosting of workshops, and thank you for getting the word out about Design Outlook. You'll see on the screen here behind me that there are a bunch of other people that I would love to thank, but that would probably take up my whole welcome for you here today. I will just quickly call out, we've got our major partners, User Testing, Bunnings, Tory Consulting, MYOB, Portable, Monash University, and Atlassian. There are 450 of you sitting here today, and 5% of you are here thanks to donations to student tickets. I personally think that is so awesome. I know that coming to a conference can be costly, and it's just really great to see people from all walks of life being able to come here today. We have had 1,200 people coming across this week's entire event, and that's only been possible thanks to our festival partners, local groups, and other groups that have joined us as well. I particularly want to thank our volunteers. They have been making this whole thing run so smoothly, and they have made today an absolute breeze. And there's also a bunch of people that I'd like to thank personally up on the screen as well. But in particular, Shane Curry, thank you so much. On behalf of me and the presenters, you've really helped us shape our stories and our narrative, and we wouldn't be here without you. Last but not least, I'd like to thank Grant Show, who has pulled this together, literally, through his blood, sweat, and tears. So when Grant asked me to MC today, I'm not gonna lie, as excited as I was and still am completely shitting myself. At the thought and now reality of standing in front of 450 of you here today, in real life, not in a little box on your screen, not in my sweatpants hidden out of view, and not with my notes conveniently placed right next to my camera to obscure the fact that I'm constantly checking them. Not only that, but there's also that voice in the back of my head. Why me? Why someone who doesn't even have 5 years into their innings as a designer? What do I even know about design? Some days I even forget what I do as a designer. The imposter syndrome is real, and to say I feel intimidated is an understatement. But what Grant and Shane reminded me is that everyone suffers from imposter syndrome. Every single one of us here today regularly has these thoughts and doubts about yourselves too, and that we all have forged different paths and bring different perspectives. Some of you will be thinking, yeah, I've heard this all before, and you're trying your hardest to not roll your eyes. So to challenge that, let's do something fun together. Remember those cheesy Zoom ice breakers? We're going to take it to the next level. To get us all acquainted, I'd love for everybody to turn to the person next to them, introduce yourselves, and share a doubt that has crossed your mind at any point in your career. Left or right, 2-sim or 3-sim, go crazy. We'll continue on now. So it sounds like there's lots of chatter. I'm really glad that all of you have found heaps to talk about with the person next to you. Personally, I thought that activity was going to be a bit confronting, but you guys are all chatty and like so happy to share all your deepest, darkest secrets with the people next to you. But hey, to keep an even playing field, isn't it only fair that I share my vulnerable and confronting experience with you too? So, hi again, I'm Nikki. A doubt that I regularly have both in and out of work is, am I enough? Am I enough to affect change? Am I empathetic enough? Am I skilled enough? Do I even know what I'm doing? I'm sure there's at least a couple of you in the audience that shared something similar. Quickly, on a side note, I've been here for about 10 minutes speaking, and I think I've been more vulnerable with all of you than anyone I've ever matched with on Tinder. Doubts aside, I stand here so proudly introducing some of Australia's best designed thought leaders. As a designer whose path has seen me using computers and the internet since primary school. A designer from the generation who learned to design and code before we even knew what trigonometry was, thanks to Neopets, MySpace, and Tumblr. The generation of designers whose hand has been forced to learn fast and expects the world to keep up just as quickly. I'm part of the next generation of designers who are shaping the future, and our voices are ready to be heard loud and clear. Small responsibility, hey? So while I was working at MeBank in 2020, I attended Pause Fest just right before we all went into lockdown. The talk that still sticks with me today was Ross Horner's talk, Don't Hire Any More Designers. She talked about how design is no longer the cool kids on their special floor, and that design as an aesthetically pleasing showpiece to be admired is dead. Design has morphed into glitter, not just a sparkly addition to something, but something that needs to be thrown around and found in every nook and cranny. And over the last 2 years, I've seen this embraced in gusto everywhere, from startups to large corporations, from tech to healthcare, from government organisations to private enterprises. It's been recognised that to get better at providing the services that we do, we need to change the way that we operate. We're in the age of design, the age where we see the humanities rise, like we have seen in history before. I guess you can say we are in the right place at the right time. I can't help but wonder though, in the process of elevating the value of design and making it accessible, have we diminished and simplified it into a process that we should all follow A to Z? A process where ideation activities have been accepted into the workforce as fun games that make companies feel that they are customer-centric. We've all heard before that everyone needs to take ownership of the experiences that we deliver. And we need to not only think like a designer, but be a designer. But if everyone is now a designer, doesn't that mean that no one's a designer? We clearly still have a long way to go. We're hearing everywhere that design is finally being given its seat at the table. But have we really? I can't help but feel that I'm in two minds about this. On one hand, design is definitely starting to be recognised and represented at the C-suite level. It's incorporated into our regular ways of working, and our once difficult stakeholders are now our biggest supporters. But on the other hand, what does being given our seat at the table even really mean? What table are we sitting at? And what is the seat that we've been given? What are we going to do with the seat? Is the seat enough? Or do we need to even change tables? Unfortunately, I don't have the answers. But what I do know is that it's our job now to step up and prove that we deserve this hypothetical seat at the unknown table, to give back life into the true meaning of design, to do better than we have before, and to embrace that design is never finished, it's always incomplete, and it's always improving and evolving. I look back at the state of what was, and I compare this to the state of what is. And I feel that we are now standing at the edge of the proverbial cliff, looking out at the future of design and what it could be. It's now time for design to rise to the challenges that we face and thrive, to take the impact that design can have on organisations, communities, and more, so that we can all benefit from more sustainable solutions to diverse changes. If anyone will change the world, it'll be the people in this room, the creators, the dreamers, the creatives. It's now time to start asking ourselves, why aren't there more designers at the leadership table? What's holding us back? Is it the legacy of the industrial age? Is it our Paleolithic emotions of fight or flight and we're walking away under self-preservation? Or is it this godlike technology that has flattened organisational structures so much that it's confusing to even navigate a career towards leadership? I think that these are some of the types of questions we should all be pondering over the next couple of days. If you leave with anything from this conference, it's to have a formed point of view. So for the rest of the festival, I'd like to set some design principles to guide us, classic designer. Firstly, please leave your title at the door. We're here to be vulnerable and to understand each other on a human level. Secondly, stop worrying if what you say is good enough or smart enough or if you're asking a dumb question. This should be a time and place where we talk openly, keep asking questions, keep giving answers. Like an art salon in Paris in the 1920s, this is our time to share and shape our ideas about the future and about our profession. Lastly, I encourage you to talk to somebody new at lunch. If you are terrified of small talk, I'm sure there was something you shared earlier with your neighbour that would make a good starting point. I hope you enjoyed today's amazing presenters and their thoughts on design leadership, design impact, and scaling design, and that your day is sprinkled with moments of reflection, but hopefully not an existential crisis. We would love for you to share these online as well using the hashtag DO22. We have an obligation in this room to lead the future of design and the big impact that design can have on the world we live in, and I'm looking forward to the conversations to come. With all that said, I want us to warmly welcome Leah Heiss, who will be guiding us to take an optimistic lens at design in its current context. A professor and a research chair at Monash University, Leah is a designer whose work has had a profound impact across many different aspects of healthcare, from hearing loss to mental illness. What resonated with me the most in getting to know Leah was her clarity and conviction. It's with no surprise that Leah has been making waves in design for the last decade, simply through her sheer determination and focus. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Leah Heiss.